Also, okay.
Ahora inicia Fraude al Desnudo con Marta Cadavid. Transmisiones en vivo cada semana. Mira las transmisiones de nuevo en nuestras plataformas digitales. ¿Estás listo para aprender y compartir las mejores prácticas de la industria de administración de riesgos?
Hola, muy buenas tardes a todos. Les habla Marta Cadavid desde la bella ciudad de Medellín, la ciudad de la eterna primavera para todas aquellas personas que aún no han venido a visitarnos. Hoy en una cápsula más de Fraude al Desnudo, y es un gusto, un placer tener a un invitado de gala que ya es casi amigo de la casa. Hoy vamos a hacer el programa en inglés hasta donde podamos. Vamos a tratar de que nuestro invitado hable un poquito de español porque ya está comprometido a aprender un poquito, pero nos toca cambiar a inglés para poder tener el lujo de conversar con Mason Welder. Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for being here at Fraude al Desnudo, Naked Fraud. And today I had the pleasure to introduce Mason. I had the opportunity to meet him in Las Vegas in the 35th Global Conference of ACFE. And then since then, we have been talking about different projects in Latin America. But today I want that Mason talks about him and about the projects that ACP has in Latin America and about other topics that I am pretty sure are very interesting. Thank you, Mason, for being here. And then thank you for taking the time to talk to us today and let us know, just tell us about you.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Marta, for having me. And, I was willing to give it a shot to try to do the whole thing in Espanol. Puedo tratar unas frases aquí o allá. But yes, thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Buenos tardes. It's good to be here. I am at the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, or ACFE or ACFE, however you want to say it. And I was fortunate enough to work with Marta. We had a panel at our most recent Global Fraud Conference on fraud examination in Latin America. Also had some other wonderful guests. We had Muña Buchahin from Mexico, Alexander de Gennaro de Sao Paulo, and Patricio Munoz, who is in Houston, but is Chilean, is Chileno, he was raised in Australia. So a very interesting background for Patricio. But yeah, it was a great panel. It was important to me to showcase some of our Latin American anti-fraud professionals that we have in our membership. Latin America, I have a lot of passion for Latin America. I grew up in Texas, learned Spanish in school, and just really took to it well. But it's and I've had a few different professional roles prior to being at the ACFE that were focused on Latin America. My wife is Mexican American. Her grandparents came over as migrant laborers from Mexico, and so I speak Spanish when we visit them down in the Rio Grande Valley near the border of Texas and Mexico. So my daughter is half Mexican origin. And I've met lots of people from Latin America at various points in my life. A few other Colombian friends that I've met either at university or at a national park that I worked at for a little bit. And some of the jobs that I've had that have focused on Latin America have been in the private security world. So some of those, I was a Latin America intelligence analyst doing risk assessments, security risk assessments, and operational support for things like executive protection, kidnap for ransom response, other kinds of crisis response, and secure transportation, things like that, executive protection.
Wow.
Yeah. So spent a lot of time reading a lot of Spanish language advisories, news articles about, crime, transnational drug trafficking organizations, secuestros y rescates, and, extortion, all throughout Latin America. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the different things that are challenges in Latin America for business operations from both a fraud and security risk management perspective. But I also, and then the one other just random little, trivia bit is I'm semi-obsessed with Peru. I took a class in college that was art and archaeology in ancient Peru, and was just amazed and fell in love with all the pre-Inca civilizations and art and archaeology. And so I just kind of really want to go everywhere in Latin America, pretty much. Unfortunately, so far, it's mainly been limited to Mexico, Costa Rica, and Caribbean islands, like Puerto Rico, Honduras, or Roatan, Honduras, and other Caribbean islands.
Mason, I think you were born in the wrong place.
It's possible, but I feel I've always really gotten along well with all the different Latin Americans that I've been around, and just made lots of fast friends with all the wonderful Latino Americanos that I've met and been fortunate to meet. So I hope to keep that going and make more friends, and hopefully do that in person more in Latin America, especially with some of the things that I'd like to do at the ACFE to build more of a network of anti-fraud professionals in Latin America. And hopefully, one day in a couple of years, you and I will be at a ACFE Latin America conference somewhere in Bogota or Cartagena, or Lima, or somewhere in Costa Rica, Mexico City, somewhere nice.
Yes, and I think, Mason, that this is one of the opportunities that we can take to motivate people to participate. I love ACFE institution, and I am so proud to be a certified fraud examiner. Once I knew about the institute, I was focused on this certification, even though I didn't know anything about English. But I'm so proud to be a certified fraud examiner.
You should. I am too.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I am too, and you should be proud. And It's one of my favorite things about working with the ACFE is how proud everyone is. All our members, they are about their work and what they do.
So I would like it that you talk about to be a certified fraud examiner and how ACFE now is thinking in be more focused on Latin America and why. Because in this way we can motivate more people to be certified or at least to be a member, to pursue the certification. And then, as you mentioned before, who knows, we just having the opportunity to have a global conference in Latin America.
Yeah, so for those of you that are not familiar with the CFE credential, there are some qualifications. Usually, at least 2 years. There's a couple different things, but 2 years of anti-fraud experience with a university degree, or if you have 10 years of experience, a degree is not required. But we do require some experience, documented experience in an anti-fraud role. There's a lot of different roles that qualify as, being an anti-fraud role or that satisfy the experience. And then you have to take an exam. We are actually working on, there are going to be some updates to the exam. I think it's going to get a little bit shorter. I don't know how much I'm officially allowed to say because some of it is still in the development, but we surveyed all of our members, or a big chunk of our members, to get feedback on what was important, or what our CFEs needed to demonstrate that they understand about the anti-fraud profession. And so we are, removing some things from the exam that are no longer as important as they once were for anti-fraud professionals, and kind of consolidating some of the things. But you take an exam, and right now it's broken into 4 parts. There's
Yes.
law, financial transactions and fraud schemes, investigation, and fraud risk management or fraud prevention. So
Yes.
those are the 4 sections of the exam. And there are a number of different ways that it's all based on things that are in our fraud examiner's manual. But we also offer a couple different exam prep kind of study options for you. There's different courses, but you can also just study on your own. You can do a self-studied exam prep kind of process that helps prepare you specifically for the exam. Or you can go to an in-person review course where we do have, you can do that in the US, or we have authorized training partners around the world where you can go to a review course in person and take the exam at the end of each day of the course, which I think is, if you're able to have your employer pay for it, I think that that is the best, fastest way to ensure that you pass the exam. But I understand that, everybody has different circumstances, and we do have lots of people that are, consultants or work for themselves. And so in that case, I can totally understand why you might want to just study on your own. But that's how, you fill out an application with your information about your experience or your education, and some references, and then take the exam. And when you pass, then you get the CFE credential, which lots of organizations and professionals worldwide recognize that if you have that CFE credential, you know what you were talking about when it comes to fraud, and you know what it looks like, you know how it happens, you know how to respond to it, and you know how to protect and detect and investigate fraud.
Yes. I remember that one of my guests here in Fraude al Desnudo was Muna, the president of the ACFE in Mexico. And one of the questions, Mason, was about the certifications, why the certifications are so important. And she said something very nice about that, and which I think I want to recall that part. And she said, the certifications talk about the person who held them. So it means that the person is disciplined, determined, and is strong, and is putting the whole effort just to get the certifications. In my case, for example, I studied by my own. I bought the manual. I remember that is 1,682 pages.
It's very long.
It's very long. It's amazing. It's my Bible because I still look for information on them. It took me, I think, 8 months, 9 months at the time, studying every day, and thinking about that I was not speaking English at the time. So, uh, but I was determined that I will be a certified fraud examiner, and I did it. I took the exams, the 4 exams or the 4 sections in 1 week, and I passed all them. So I think it's when we had this thing in our heads, we have to do it, we have to do it, we are able to accomplish that goal. And as I told you before, I am so proud about this. And hopefully more people can think about this certification because it's opening opportunities to get businesses, be in a better company, okay, meet a lot of people, and be involved in very complex investigations.
Yeah, it's one of the things, a couple things. First off, I'm very glad that you did study and take that exam and get your CFE credential, because it led me to being able to meet you and build a relationship with you. So most importantly, I'm very glad that you did that. And then I definitely understand the challenges that right now the exam is only offered in English,
Yes.
and I understand that is a challenge for non-English speakers, and there are many of those in Latin America, and so that is why we are working on our end to develop a kind of plan to translate the exam into to start with just 1 or 2 languages and work on translating that exam. But we don't want to do, so let's say we translate the exam to Arabic and Spanish. We know, the other part of having your CFE credential is the education requirements to continuing professional education. I'm sure, many people in the audience have other certifications, and you have to continue to learn about the topic or the area of profession to make sure that credential, you still deserve that credential, and that credential is still accurately represents that you are an expert in the field. So if we have an exam in Spanish but no continuing professional education in Espanol, then that's not fair to the people that took the exam and passed it in Spanish. So that means that in addition to translating the exam, we also need to translate other materials and other educational products to make sure that we are giving you the ability to continue learning and developing your expertise in Spanish, so that you can keep the credential, and that we are providing the same value for you that we provide for all the English speaking CFEs.
Yes. And we had to motivate people to learn another language as well. I am very happy. I'm glad that ACFE nowadays is looking for this, let's call it solution, or a different way to attract more professionals, good professionals. But and also it's good for people to learn another language, because there are a lot of material that is only in this case in English that we can use, especially global standards and best practices. So
Sure.
let's talk about OSINT.
OSINT, yeah. So
Yes, because this is a conversation that we had in Las Vegas, that we start to talk about OSINT, and you were like, what?
yeah.
And didn't know that you were training and you offer webinars, and you are an expert in OSINT. So let's talk a little bit about OSINT resources.
OSINT that's what I used as an intelligence analyst. Of course, we did have some human sources that I would, talk to get information. That was a big part of the different types of reports that and the intelligence gathering that I was doing. But open source intelligence, or OSINT, as Marta was saying, it's just so cool. I think
Yes.
there is so much information available at our fingertips, thanks to the internet, and knowing how to access all of that information, what information is available, and how to get to it, quickly and efficiently, is so important for so many different types of professional roles. And so, I've had jobs to where I've, looking at police reports and crime statistics, and just news articles about violent crime in favelas in Rio de Janeiro, while we have a client that is, getting an executive protection detail or bodyguards for the Olympics back when they were in Rio de Janeiro. Doing those kind of things was a huge benefit to me, and helped me learn to read Portuguese. But also I've done background investigations on individuals and due diligence on companies for mergers and acquisitions, and being able to go to a company website and get information about the IP address and what other websites are hosted on the same server as that IP address, and what are the potential connections between those other websites hosted on the same server. Now, many people use website registers or registries like GoDaddy or somebody like that, to where, not in every case are you going to be able to find out something that just, is like a big light bulb that makes a big difference in a case, but sometimes you can. And doing things like reverse image searching is one of the tools or techniques that's most common in OSINT, and that can be really helpful for social media intelligence gathering and analysis, identifying whether or not a profile is legitimate. If you do a reverse image search on somebody's social media, like a Facebook profile picture, and you see that it's being used on 6 other Facebook profiles that all have different names, then, a maximum of one of those profiles is legitimate. The rest are not, and there's a good chance that none of them are legitimate, and that helps you know whether or not to trust that source of information. I think, I teach a 2-day class for the ACFE called Investigating on the Internet that just walks through all of these different things. We do some different exercises and look at different sites for public records in lots of different countries, not just the United States, and different tools that you can use to, there's just, there's always a good reason to do due diligence on an individual or an organization if you're doing investigations. Like, that's kind of just what investigations are, right? You're trying to get the most information that you can about an individual or an organization and then connect the dots. I say that doing OSINT and getting information off the internet, it's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle.
Yes,
but you don't have the cover. You don't know what the picture is, but you're just going to the internet and you're getting all these different pieces, you're flipping them over, you're grouping them to see, like, oh, I think this is a sailboat or whatever. So, but I need this picture or this piece of the sail. I need to find that puzzle piece to make sure it's the sailboat. And then what else is in the picture behind the sailboat? So that's how I think of OSINT, and it can be really, really interesting and rewarding. And I think that it's something that just about any kind of professional can benefit from developing, even just how to search the internet more effectively with search operators and quotation marks and, different, sometimes they're called Boolean search operators, but other people call them Google dorks. And there's a number of different terms, but just knowing how to build your searches for search engines can save you so much time and help you get directly to the information that you need the quickest and take the quickest route there. I think, we talked about Cynthia Hetherington is just a hero of mine. I adore her. I have a great relationship with Cynthia and, I've had so many good conversations. She also has a professional association for open source intelligence called Osmosis that I highly recommend people check out if they are interested in open source intelligence. And she is just, she's like the rock star of OSINT, and I adore her. And she's a lovely person, very funny, just wonderful and very impressive. So I was fortunate enough to speak at her conference last October. And, I think that it's just so important for people to develop at least some basic OSINT skills if you are doing any kind of investigations.
Yes, I love Cynthia too. I was able to take a couple courses in Chicago with her and learn a lot. They were intense courses, and of course I learned her technique, her process. I applied that technique too, and I try to teach the technique in Latin America because it's once you understand what is OSINT and you can develop the whole process to find the information and classify the information, because it's not like I find information and that's it. No, you have to find it, classify it, make the report. It's very interesting, and I say that OSINT is like the right hand for any investigator. But and also I want to be sure that people know that you, Mason, are a wonderful OSINT expert.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you.
Yeah, we had a conversation, but it's also the expertise that you have is very important for us. And that's why I want that you let us know where people can find you. Of course, you work for the ACFE, but and also if people want to contact you, how they can reach you.
You can find me on LinkedIn and just send me a message. Please send me a connection request and then, send me a message, and I'd be happy to provide recommendations for either trainings that I do, or, there's lots of other people that do really good open source intelligence trainings as well. I am, I'm not the end all be all source of OSINT. But I'm more than happy to take a little bit of time to provide some recommendations and point you in the right direction. And that goes not just for OSINT, but for anything else. A friend of Marta's is a friend of mine, and I'd be more than happy to
So
help out any of her friends and become friends as well, so that maybe one day I can ask you for help with my efforts in Latin America to build the anti-fraud, a network of anti-fraud professionals in Latin America to help each other out. That's the best thing about the fraud world. Everybody feels like they're on the same team. It is not that way in the security world. So I like the fraud world better than the security world. There are too many egos and too much competition in the private security world. But in the fraud world, anti-fraud world, we're all on the same team, and it's a beautiful team to be on.
Yes, and in our conversations, I want to reiterate that let's work on Latin America. Let's motivate more people to be certified, or at least to be a member, to take the risk, to study for the exam. I am so happy about this conversation. And I am happier because finally ACP put its eyes on us in Latin America. And we talked before, hopefully next year we can count on you in different conferences in Latin America, because there are many topics that you can talk about. And it's good for us that we have fresh people from the United States talking to us. So thank you. I am so happy about this podcast today, and I'm pretty sure that we can work together in a wonderful strategy in Latin America.
Well, thank you so much again for having me, and I love talking to you every chance I get. And I'll make you a deal. The next time we do one of these, it will be all in español. Voy a practicar mucho y podemos charlar todo en español y en no inglés en la próxima vez.
We'll try. Okay, just to finish the program. So I was in Panama last week in a wonderful event for credit unions. More than 650 people were the C-levels, auditors, some compliance officers. And I am so happy about this event because it was my first event talking to C-levels, people who didn't know anything about fraud. And it was one of the most beautiful and amazing conference there. I received a lot of compliments. I am so happy about this. I am so proud about everything that we have done in Latin America, and especially talking to presidents, people from who work for the board of these credit unions. This week I will be in Guatemala, participating in a small conference with my friend Neri. So we will be in Antigua talking about fraud, of course, for 150 people. And next week we will be in Cartagena participating in the big event for Internal Auditors Institute in Latin America. And then that's what maybe we can think for next year, my friend Mason. It's an amazing event. It's a massive event because auditors from more than 25 countries will be there. And it's something very similar to the global event for internal auditors. And then in November, we will be with Auditor 7th and the 8th of November in the 360 a fraud conference there. So we are very busy. So thank you, Mason. My blessings for you. Thank you for
you're most welcome. Thank you so much again for having me. Can't wait to the next time. And again, anybody that wants to reach out to me, probably the easiest way is on LinkedIn. And I hope to hear from you. And,
I will repost the video, and then you can make your comments. And if you want to add your email, that's fine for me. And thank you, everybody. Remember to share this information because somebody is waiting for this. Gracias a todos por escuchar Fraude al Desnudo hoy con este gran amigo de la casa, Mason Walderhuit, quien hace parte de ese equipo maravilloso de ACFE, el mejor instituto antifraude en el mundo. Y para mí es un placer tenerlo aquí y de verdad tejer estas relaciones para mirar hacia Latinoamérica. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Mason. Let's talk next week. Okay?
all right. Adios.
Thank you.
All right.